I really wanted to do this call because for me, this is I'm wrapping up like my 4th full year as a coach, and which is a lot of years too. I was thinking, I'm like, wow, I'm heading into like year 5 here. And for ever since then, this has always been a time of the year where I have kind of looked back on my business and taken these few weeks. Like, I really like to wrap things up mid-December so that I can spend some time really family focused and then move on into January with a clear path for where I wanted to go. And that was sort of the inspiration for this call. And also Michelle, who I can see is hopping on now, our newest diamond. So I just want to say congratulations to her. That's so exciting. But we were talking about goals and goal setting, and this really is the time of year when I'm doing goal setting for next year. And it's not like it reaches a point where it's too late, but I feel like any business, any major goal that you're working on, whatever that might be, it takes time and consistency, right? And so whatever you want to happen this time next year is very possible as long as you start now. So I thought I would kind of take you through the 3 major areas that I really consider when I'm goal setting for 2018, and the way I goal set for 2017, 16, 15, 14. Because, in 2013 and 2000, like I set a goal for 2014 that did not happen, but it was a building phase for the next few years. And I have absolutely set goals that I haven't achieved, but I still think sitting down right now and really creating that plan is important. So that's what I'm going to cover. And since it's a small group, we'll keep it conversational. So if you have questions, hop on. But I love goal setting at this time of year because for me, it's like a fresh blank slate. And I know everyone feels that way because it's like January, New Year's resolutions. But when you're in the industry that we're in, like, we know what it's the work that it takes to put in to achieve goals. Like, we've done it with health and fitness. It's not something that happens overnight. So I think when you take a look at your fresh slate of your year, there is so much potential when you already understand the fact that it is going to take 12 months for you to achieve certain things. So for me, when I sit down to goal set and think about what it is that I want next year, no matter what level of coach you are, I think the very, very, very first step that's important is knowing what you want this business to be. And something I heard early on that I really loved was that this opportunity, creating this business, is meant to be a vehicle that helps you live the life of your dreams, the life that you want. It is not meant to take over your life, but it is meant to be that vehicle that helps you achieve your dreams. So the most important thing that I start by asking myself when I'm looking at this goal setting is very much, what do I want? What do I want in my life? What do I want for my family? And what do I want this opportunity to be? Because I think this is so important to feeling successful. Right now, as you look at your year, I think it's important to think, like last year when I was goal setting, I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted to continue to be like a significant, have this be like an elite organization for me. I knew that. But I also recognized that we had intentions of moving to a new country. And so my goals had to adapt a little bit with what was happening there. So the very first step that I want to encourage you guys to do as you're goal planning over the next week or two is, one, ask yourself, what kind of coach am I going to be this year? Am I going to be a part-time coach? Because that's awesome. If you have a really busy life and you're like, you know what, I just need a little extra money. Like, I love this community, but wouldn't it be awesome if I could just like cover our car payment or cover the cleaning lady in my Shakeology or whatever that might be, save $500 a month. Like, there's no right or wrong or successful or not successful, but that's a very important thing to understand. What are my intentions this year? And I kind of think that, when you're looking at coaching, there's 3 areas. There's, I'm going to be a part-time coach in this. Like, if you're on this call, you're not a hobby coach. Like, you're here because you're interested in the business opportunity. So are you going to be a part-time coach? Are you going to be a team leader? Or are you working towards something like an elite, multi-star or premier organization? Those are the three categories that I kind of look at. And it's like, to me, that is important to understand, because it's going to help you, one, determine the activities and the commitment level that's required of you for the success that you want to have this year. We don't want to set goals and give up on them in the first quarter. We don't want to set goals and fall so far behind in the first quarter. But we also want to realistically look at our lives and think, what am I willing to commit to? Because like our health and fitness, or like any goal that our family may have for them, if we take this goal and keep it to ourselves and never share it with anyone and never let anyone in on, the major commitment that this may or may not require of us, it's going to be really hard to make that happen. And I don't know if you guys were on the call a couple weeks ago where Ashley, who's been talking to us about brand, but she talked about kind of your support structure around you, and how there's studies that show who is supporting you. Your key support structure and the levels of support around you really are going to dictate whether you're going to be able to achieve the success that you want. It's almost like if there's 7 key support structures, and 1 or 2 of them aren't on board, then you still have a really good shot at success. But if the majority aren't, the chances of you being successful in this pursuit are much, much lower. So taking this time right now and talking to your spouse, talking to your heart, to yourself, thinking about your family, and recognizing what your plan is with your family for the year and what you guys have going on. I mean, obviously there's unforeseen circumstances, but it's such an important part in understanding, what kind of coach am I going to be? What do I want this to do for my life? So that's the first step, because when you're a part-time coach, no matter what, I think that the requirements that are really that you need to have at all times, consistently locked in for success of being a successful part-time coach, is one, that you have to be prepared to be healthy, that you have to care enough to push play 5 of 7 days and drink your Shakeology. That's got to be a part, like these basic vital behaviors. That is required of a part-time coach. Do you have to be perfect? No. But 5 of 7 days, you need to realize that this is the way you're going to live your life. To be a team leader is someone who has locked in those vital behaviors consistently. So again, I always use this 5 of 7. Perfection is not necessary in this business, but 80% kind of is, in order for you to have great success. And the team leader is someone who also nails a power hour 5 times a week. They figure it out. They look at their life and they say, this is the kind of coach I want to be. These are the goals I set for myself. I have to nail, no matter what, I'm going to figure it out in my life. This is becoming a priority enough. I've told my spouse, I've told my family, I've carved out the time around my job or whatever it might be. Because there are requirements of team leaders. One, you have to show up in your challenge group that you're having. You have to show up for yourself, which is always the number one rule for us as coaches. You have to show up for the people that you're bringing into this, and then you have to proceed to invite them to join you. And I say team leader, I'm glad that team leader is your goal, Sabrina. I know a team leader is actually a title on the leadership ladder, and I'm not necessarily referring to that, even though I think that's the category this ends up falling into. But my point is that you're not, like, you're here because if you're going to run a business, you got to be there for the people who are there for you. You can't come in and then flake out on them. You can, but that's just not the business. Like, that's not the path to success. You can say to them, listen, I'm moving to a new country. I really need you to step up this month for me, which is what I know so many of my team did for me. But you can't just decide one day you're not going to do it and then you're going to come back and then you're not. That's a very inconsistent behavior, and it's not a team leader behavior. It's a hobby coach. So a team leader really steps it up and takes it to that next level and recognizes that for this year, for 12 whole months, if my goal is team leader, I'm going to nail those vital behaviors. So put myself first and health first. Cutie. And I'm going to make sure that power hour happens. No matter what excuses I'm trying to tell myself, no matter what I say, I'm going to run a challenge group. I'm going to show up if there's just one person in it. And I'm going to do this because, one, this is my goal. And this is the type of coach that I'm committing to being. And then, of course, the third level is, what I think we can lump into being like an elite premier organization. And that's something that, occasionally we see people come into this, and I know that it's Beachbody that ends up sharing with us, like, oh, these people, they get here like in 15 months and in 10 months. And, guys, it took me 3 years to get to this place, to that. And I think that's a much more realistic way. If we could really poll all the coaches, you would understand that elite for me was a 3-year dream. It took me 3 years to get there. I wanted it every year. I thought about it every year. And what I realized in that, and I'll go through kind of the important things that you need to lock in for that, is whatever your goal is, you must exhibit the behaviors of that goal before you're going to get there. If you want to be an elite 10-star, 15-star coach, you got to do the behaviors of that coach every day, every week, for the year, for 3 years before it's ever going to happen. That's just reality. That's the journey in this path. And I think it's such an important thing that I drive home to you guys and that I'm open with. Just like if you want to be a team leader, you got to do that power hour every day. Every day. You got to do it. Otherwise, eventually, like, those behaviors are the ones that are going to get you to team leader. Otherwise, you're never going to get there. And if you want to be a hobby coach, you have to care about your health and fitness. You have to push play and let go of the fact that sometimes you eat chocolate all weekend, that's okay, but you need to get back on the path. That has to be your main priority. And it has to happen today, every day, all through January, all through February, all the way. And I think that's a really important, as I said, a really important point that I recognized, especially in those first few years where I didn't achieve this major goal, but I got so much closer to it because I was always exhibiting those behaviors. So whatever your goal is, for the end of this year, one, you need to understand what kind of commitment goes along with that goal and why you kind of want that, right? Why that has matter for you, why, what that's going to do for your life and your family, and does it fit with that right now? Because there's nothing worse than coming into something and setting a goal and then feeling like you're already so far behind or feeling like you have to give up on it in month 3. It kind of damages our psyche a little bit. So be a CEO and take the time right now to think about where you want your business to go. And if you don't get there in 12 months, at least if you exhibit the behaviors to get there, eventually you will. You'll be that coach in 24 months or 36 months. You'll have built that business. I'll tell you a little story that I think is really important when you're setting this path for yourself of why you must exhibit the behaviors. So 5 years I've been a coach, and I have 50 months, 50 consistent consecutive months of SC10 or above. I figured it out, even if there were months I didn't think it was going to happen, even if I was wondering where those points were. It was my priority to build an organization. That mattered to me so much. That was my goal. It was the goal I set out for when life was hard, when I was moving, when people were dying, when things crumbled around me. This was something that mattered so much to me. It was a goal I set. So I figured out a way to invite more people, to carve out more time, to make that happen. And every single month, I brought on an average of 4 coaches. This is something that I think is so critical for you based on your goal. If you want to be a team leader, Success Club 5, bring on 2 coaches, that's your focus. But if you want to be an elite coach or a premier coach, which is basically new growth as well, it's a 2-star diamond and above, we have to think a little bit bigger and recognize the importance of consistency over and over and over again, even when it feels like you're not being successful. We push play because we know it's the right thing for us. We tell our children to eat vegetables because we know it's the right thing for them and to have a certain bedtime. It's the same thing for the health of our business. But the story I want to tell you early on that I always think about every year as I hit a month where I'm like, I don't want to do this. I had a mentor when I was 19 and 20 years old, and I was running a painting business. And we would have goals for that as well, like how many people we were trying to recruit to, run franchisees and how many doors you'd knock on and all that. And there would be times where we would be we needed to run an event because that's our goal this was our goal. And so we have to run this recruiting event once a month. And there was only going to be 2 people at that event. And everybody else wanted to cancel the event. And she's like, no, this is what we want to, this is the behavior that we're exhibiting. And we said we would do it, and we're going to follow through whether there's nobody there or whether there's 1 person there or whether there's 50 people there. And she was the most successful, went on to be the vice president of the company. And it's a behavior that I always think about. It's like, it doesn't really matter who's showing up or who's not showing up. We have to decide now, who are we going to be, and exhibit those behaviors no matter what. And as a result, I have run empty sneak peeks. I have run challenge groups with 1 person in them before. You can certainly, be creative and join groups with other people, but at the end of the day, if you want to build a business with this and have it be something more than a part-time hobby coach, and even then there are consistencies there that have to happen, you have to decide right now that no matter what, you're running a challenge group and you're going to hit Success Club 10 or Success Club 5 or whatever that number is. And no matter what, you're going to run a recruiting event and at least invite 50 people to it, because those are the behaviors you can control. It just has to be a decision that you make. And I think when you decide now, it makes that planning that we're going to do in the first week of January so much more easy, because it's like, this is what I'm going to do. And then it comes down to executing and just doing no matter what. Well, I haven't invited anybody or no one's going to show up, so I better at least get 100 invites out real quick. Like, just get them out there. Anyway, that was just an important story I wanted to share, because I just think that understanding right now where you're going and what goes along with that is such a critical part to whether you're actually going to get there. Because even though some people get, lucky and have extra success in a year, at the end of the day, we get what we give in this life. And if you consistently give to this business, it will consistently give back to you. It might just take a little longer for some than others. So the second area that I really want, actually, you know what? One point just to kind of drive that home. In 2013, which was my first full year as a coach, I made $6,700. And I wanted to be an elite coach. I remember thinking that. I wrote down these numbers. In 2014, I had a big goal. I wanted to be a 5-star elite coach. I did not. I think I ended that year as a diamond coach, and I earned just shy of $22,000. But I exhibited those same behaviors. I made sure that no matter what, I was hitting SC10. I was adding 4 coaches to my team. I was believing in what it was that I was creating. And in 2015, I officially hit that goal of elite, and I made $60,000 that year. And then in 2016, that I more than doubled that. And I reached elite again. And it's the same behaviors. Nothing's changed for me. I have a team call. I have a team page. I show up on both those things, even when there are 30 people and when there are 2 people on the team calls, which there have been. When no one's talking in my team page, these are the behaviors that I think is just really important. So understand where you're going, what the behaviors are that need to be done consistently, and make them happen no matter what, unwaveringly. Recognize that you need to believe in yourself. So the second area I wanted to just cover was ask yourself what you love. So you've talked to yourself, you're preparing to set your goals, and you've said to yourself, what do I want to be and what are the commitments that go along with that? And the next step is to ask yourself what you love about the business you're creating, or about what you're doing for this kind of goal or this type of coach you want to be. And I think that's really important because, as I mentioned, this doesn't happen overnight. I mean, nothing does, and we all know that, but it can be very hard because depending on that circle of influence and that circle of support, we can have a lot of doubts in ourselves. But what would you say to a challenger who has a lot of weight to lose and doesn't lose anything in the first week? Would you be like, oh yeah, it's not working, you better give up? Like, no, that's just not how this journey goes. We know that any journey towards any success, if you want to have your PhD, or if you want to have your master's, or even your undergrad, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, I mean, those are just easier, more tangible things. There are years of effort that you have to put in order for that actually to happen. And a stat that always sticks in my head that my dad told me was that small businesses, I mean, 80% of small businesses fail in the first 5 years. And they fail because they give up for the most part. I mean, we don't have any overhead in this business, so it makes it a lot easier for us to be successful. But it's important that you take this time right now to ask yourself what you love, because there are going to be times where you're going to question yourself, where other people are going to question you, where you're going to think this isn't working, I've been doing it, I'm trying to invite more people and I have to hit this number. And you need to lean on that area that you love in this business. And if you forget, that's why you write it down right now. That's why we take this time and say, what do I love in this business? Because when I hit these moments where I think like, I can't pull anything out of myself right now, or why am I even bothering, or nobody cares, or, like customer service is messed up again, or darn Beachbody and their terrible shipping costs, or, like when these things all jump through my head, I have to remember, what is it that I love? Like, what brought me here in the first place? And why do I really do this? We don't do this for the money, even though that might be what ends up keeping us doing it forever, or maybe it's a valuable thing eventually. But you do this because something brought you here in the first place. Because for me, it was something that set me free. And it was an opportunity to then connect with other women and create something that I was missing in my life. And when people send you that message, that's like that moment, when you first finally feel so good in your own skin, and then someone else sends you that message to be like, thank you. Like, that little thing is so huge and has such an impact, and is why I love what we do. It makes all the stress of trying to hit a ridiculous number, or all the stress of, inviting a whole bunch of people and feeling weird about it, go away, because this one piece that I love so much about this. So ask yourself what you love, because otherwise you get caught up in this whole, like, that saying that's like, don't hate the player, hate the game. I think when it comes to running a business, especially one like ours, you got to switch that around. It's like, don't hate the game. Like, you're the player, play it your way. Figure out what you love in this business. It's awesome that we've got Beachbody and their tools and whatever they're doing behind us, and we're poised for a really great year product-wise and launch-wise, and we're through the growing pains of digital. But like, it's not really about them. It's really about us and what we're creating in this business. And your love is going to be of whatever product it is. Beachbody closed up shop tomorrow. You need to know what you love so that you can just go open it up somewhere else and help other people in a different way. So understanding that is such an important part of this goal setting process, because it doesn't happen overnight, because too many people quit before they reach that point. And that consistency is what brings success. There's always going to be someone who's getting 236 Success Club points in a month. I do not know how to do it. I don't actually have any interest in doing it because it takes away from what I love in this business. But there's always going to be someone who's going faster than you, and slower than you, and better than you, and worse than you, and bigger than you, and smaller than you. So just make sure that you understand your path and what you love in this journey, so that when you hit those hard times, I swear it's the same way we have people stand up for us when we get married. We've got bridesmaids and groomsmen, and their whole role is to remind us of this wonderful, special day and the vows that we took, so that we stick it through during the hard times. And I think that is a critical piece when we're thinking about our goals and what we love. Because you need to remember what that is. And that's what our team is supposed to be there for as well. But you need to be able to look and say, why did I start this in the first place? Why am I fighting for this at all? What am I even fighting for? You must believe in you above all else. And that's what I think, understanding very clearly what you want this to be, the commitment that goes along with that, so that you can measure your own success separately from the way Beachbody's measuring it, or the way even I'm measuring it. And you must believe in you, because you are the only reason you're going to be successful or not successful in this. Okay. My last thing that it comes down to what to set goals on and what I'm setting goals on. And I actually have an order, because I think that it's all great to come in and be like, yay, I want to be a 5-star diamond coach this year, or whatever, or yay, I want to make 50,000. Like, it's great to say those things. But if you've taken the time to understand what you want and how it impacts your family and why you want it and what you love here, I feel like there's always more goals than just 1 or 2 for me. So here's the order that I set goals. Number 1, I always set a goal on my own personal health. That's what brought me here. That's what I love. It's what drives my business. It's what drives my happiness. It just drives me being a patient and calm, sometimes not patient and calm mother. But it is like the source of it all for me. So I'll set a goal, and that might be, maybe that's you want to run a marathon or a half marathon or a 5K, or maybe that's you want to make sure that you complete start to finish 3 programs this year. Or maybe you just want to push play and make sure you've done it 5 days a week. It really doesn't matter, but set a goal there, because that's something that drives everything that we do as health and fitness coaches or people in this industry. The second goal I set, and I really do rank them this way, is personal growth. The longer I do this, the more I am so certain that this whole journey, and it would be the same journey in any business, has everything to do with how much I'm willing to grow and how much I'm willing to look at myself and push through those hard things. Every time I bump up against something on my journey toward a goal or toward success, it's always a wall that I built for myself. It's an excuse that I'm making. It's a limitation I put on myself. It's a limiting belief. It's any one of those things. And if you don't personally push and consistently choose to grow and choose growth and choose the hard path, then we're never going to be better than where we're at. So maybe that is like read 1 book a month or listen to 1 audio a month. That's what my goal used to be. Maybe it's complete a course and really focus in this one area. If you can start to understand what that limiting belief is for you, whatever it is, set a goal there, because I swear it will set you free. Okay, number 3, I set a goal on time spent on my husband or my partner, depending on who's on the call and who's listening. And I think that is very important if you have a significant other in your life, because they are such a critical piece of our happiness, of a commitment we've made, if you've made a marriage vow, of the support that happens in this business, and of that surrounding circle of support. You need to, and I heard this at leadership recently, if we're going to talk about carving out 30 minutes for ourselves each day for self-love, I think it's also really important to make sure there's 30 minutes set aside each day for our spouse. Uninterrupted, no Facebook, no, you know what I mean? That is just focused on them. And it's a funny thing to say out loud, because sometimes it actually pushes my feminist buttons a little when I say it. But I think at the end of the day, it's such an important, valuable relationship that we have if it's one you're fostering in your life, and if it has an impact on your goals and who you are and where you're going, carving out that goal. So for me in the past, that goal has very much been making sure we have a set date out of the house once a month together, and a date in the house once a month together. Maybe it is that half an hour a day that you make sure you carve out where you have committed to putting that phone away and you're not on there no matter what your goals are. Maybe it's just making sure that you hit your power hour in when they're not there so that you can be all in. Whatever it is, I think it's such an important piece, because it's how they feel valued, and it's how they're going to feel more supported if you're there and present with them as well. It's an important relationship. Number 4, the 4th goal I like to set is on family. So that could be anything from, making sure that you carve out that time for your kids, making sure you guys take a vacation together, making whatever. Again, that one's going to be really different, making sure you have a routine games night as a family, but family time that is devoted towards that. These are all the things that go into our happiness and go into our life. And I'll tell you right now that the more I devote into the rest of my life and not on social media, the better my business goes. Because if I'm bored with myself, then the rest of the world's bored with me. And so get out into the world and meet up with your friends and do something fun with your kids, and you'll be more apt to post about it and draw people into life. So set a goal about your family, whatever that might be. Step 5, you want to set a what you love goal, a goal based around that piece of what you love. And for me, make friends, Brina. Yes, make friends. It's very important. You should be going out and having lunch with your friends. It's a critical piece. Have coffee. Go for a walk. I think early on in this business, what really helped me a lot was setting a goal of making sure that I collected like 3 really great stories a month from my people, like from the people that came into my challenge groups. They didn't have to have lost a whole bunch of weight, but if I collected 3 a month of people who had a great experience, whose life was impacted by me, I could always go back and have that proof. I've also set a goal of like, you know, again, taking it off of Success Club points and instead being like, okay, I want to know that I had an impact on 100 people this year. And I would write their names down as they went. And those are, I think, really measurable goals to help you understand, yes, I helped people. If you come up short in another goal, or if you go push really hard and like you just missed the one thing that you want, you can be like, you know what? I was successful because this was what really mattered to me, and like look at the people's lives that I made an impact on. So go back to what you love and set a goal on that. And then you can set your number 6, your business goal. And that one's going to be, again, different for everyone, but it's going to be based on what you want this business to be and what you value. Your business goal could be financial. It could be rank. It could be organization size. It could be in the leadership ladder, but set a business goal because you need to know where you're going with this. So that at the end of the year, you can say, like, here's where I measured up, and quarterly you can say, okay, I'm on track for this goal. And monthly it can say like, okay, where am I going? What's my purpose here? You know, again, if you're a hobby coach, you do not need to be, or if you're if you're a part-time coach, you likely do not need to run a recruiting event every month. You might decide like, okay, if I run 2 challenge groups this quarter in 3 months, that's going to bring me success. But if you want to be, you know, if you want to run an organization that eventually makes you 6 figures and beyond, you need to make sure that your goal is very much like spelling out the fact that you have to run at least one enough challenge groups to hit Success Club 10 and a recruiting event every month, no matter what, no matter who's there or who's not. So there's a big difference there, but they all lead to a successful moment if you know what that is and you set your focus and your sights on that. So that number 6 is really setting that goal. And you can set a few. They can be several, but ideally they're ones that are in your control. Last year I set a goal to be on the National Wake Up Call. Definitely didn't get asked to do that, but it's not really a goal in my control. So it was probably an unrealistic goal to set. But certainly knowing, like, achieving like levels of people coming through my challenge groups and, you know, a Success Club number and the consistency around that and how many people I bring into the business. Those are very tangible things that are in the control of what I'm shooting for. So that's my chat on goals tonight. Those are the areas I wanted to cover. I just think it's really important that step 3, when you set goals, that you're setting like more than just the one, that you're setting several and you're ranking them in a way that's going to bring you joy and happiness overall. You might choose to, maybe if you're like religious or spiritual, you might set, like some people will set goals in that area. You know, if you're trying to save money or get out of debt, you might set goals in that area. Whatever it might be, just recognize that there are multiple things that go into our happiness and our balance. And it's important to set goals, I think, in all of those areas for everyone, for us to stay in balance as like the center of our ecosystem. I mean, that's just the reality for moms. Everyone on this call is a mom right now. So just making sure you're setting goals all around. So overall, at the end of the day, you don't finish the year achieving one of those goals and the rest falling flat and being like, but I'm not happy. I worked this hard and I achieved this and I'm not happy. That's the point of all the other goals. Okay. Does anybody have any questions around goal setting specific to anything actually that we talked about tonight?
I do.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So I can't wrap my head around what elite is. I know it's like a point system.
Great. So Elite and Premier are entirely focused on new business growth. So at the beginning, it really is about having a clean slate, because in order for you to achieve an elite coach, you have to be a 5-star diamond, and a premier coach, you have to be a 2-star diamond.
Oh, okay.
That's really the difference between those two, because the rest kind of evens out. An elite coach and a premier coach both have to advance 2 new diamonds in the year.
Okay.
Because that's showing the development of your leaders. And they also have to achieve a certain amount of what they call elite points. And without diving so deep into that, because we could cover that pretty quickly, you and I, in a call, they're based around customer retention, new customer retention. So if you want to be an elite coach in 2018, you're going to get points based on the new customers you bring in, and you'll get a point for a certain amount of volume that continuously gets created for those coaches. So or those customers and coaches. So you get volume for the coaches that are brought on in 2018, the customers that are brought on in 2018, your coaches that are brought on in that year and them hitting Success Club, and your overall growth volume of your business over last year's. So it purely is about new growth, which is what's so great about like when they rank in elite, to be able to see like new people coming in, because it really comes down to like, what are you doing that's working right now, and that you're not just coming in, hitting a level, and like you can be recognized forever for it. It's like recognizing new growth in coaches. So you can see Melanie Mitro, who's about to be like the fourth time in a row top coach. She grows and grows and grows. That's her focus in this business. Does that explain it a little?
Yep, it does actually. That helps a lot actually. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you. I imagine it's all in the FAQ anyway.
It's certainly all there, but I am happy. It's something I actually really love. Like, I love the numbers of the business. So
me too.
I can certainly talk through it. And it's very possible. It really is. Like, especially if you're a diamond coach, it's a very possible thing to achieve from here to next year. It's just about those consistencies in who you're bringing.
So Premier is getting 2 diamonds and a whole bunch of other junk.
Yes.
Okay.
New growth points and advancing 2 new diamonds that year.
Okay. Got it.
Yes. Christine, did you have a question?
Hi. I just was hollering at my children to get into bed and threatening them with electronics. So I missed what your first thing was when you were talking about how you broke down your goals. I know 2 was personal development. 1, did you say it was fitness, or personal
health. Personal health. So that's
okay.
Nutrition, that might be fitness, that might be completing of a program, but it's that.
Well, I knew you didn't say fitness goal. I was like, that's not ringing right. So personal health.
Personal health, yeah. I like to have new little challenges, and but it's like wherever you're struggling. Yeah. For me, that's where all of my energy and like content ends up coming from. So it's such an important goal to set. Yeah. Any other goal setting questions? Okay. Well, I will encourage, I'm just going to say, you guys on this call are all my personally, I like that. All I want for Christmas is a full glass of wine and flat abs. Good luck. Wine and flat abs don't happen together. Trust me, I've tried a lot. You guys are all my direct personally sponsored coaches. So if you want to have a one-on-one call, that is something I offer any time of the year, but I like to do that at the beginning of the year, because we can really break down like based on what your end goal is, what you need to do every month for the hard business goals in order to get there. And I really feel like at the end of the day, the hardest part of this business, 1, is consistency, and 2, not losing that love. Like you just have to remember like the most successful like marriages and relationships and business partnerships, all these things come after like trials and tribulations and learning and growth and consistency day in, day out. So just happy goal setting. Have a wonderful holiday season, and please reach out if I can help on this, because it really is something I like to do. And it is something I will happily be doing for myself over these next 2 weeks. Okay, guys, thank you so much for hopping on. I love you all very much, and I am wishing you all and your families an amazing holiday season. I hope Santa is good to all your children, and we'll see you soon. And happy baby delivery, Michelle. She's 2 weeks out. 2 weeks out. Okay, bye, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry